I juged.
I'm Elisa Parker. We're broadcasting live here from the Wild and Scenic Film Festival in downtown Nevada City, also Grass Valley, California. I should also mention that Wild and Scenic has a tour that happens across the country, and a big shout out to our producers of Wild and Scenic, and that is Circle, South Yuba River Citizens League. This is one of our biggest fundraisers that we do. You know, so we've talked a lot today about the connection of the land and how important that is, and how the land is often what brings us into our place of where we live, where we choose to reside. And my friend Ruth Chase is here with us today. She's a phenomenal artist, and she has launched a new project, an initiative called Belonging. And I know you should first welcome Ruth. It's good to have you here.
Thank you for having me here.
You should feel very proud because Ruth actually received a grant to launch and create this project. Why don't you tell everyone a little bit about Belonging? And I love that we've got the card here. I'm going to do a little promotion for that.
Belonging is an arts initiative called Artist Activating Communities, which it's exactly that, Artist Activating Communities. It's through the California Arts Council, and I am considered an artist in residence with Nevada County Arts Council, who the grant came, I wouldn't have it if it wasn't for them. So that's a little bit about the grant. And Belonging is a multimedia project that really speaks to how people find a sense of belonging, but in particular through the land. And so what that looks like is several different things are happening. And one of them is that I go out and I actually get to interview, which I would rather interview than be interviewed. Let's see, so I interview 10 people in our community that I'm realizing that So for me, belonging really is I'm starting to understand that purpose goes with belonging. And so I'm realizing why these 10 people are such key figures for this project, because each of them have their own connection to the land and a sense of purpose. And then through that purpose, we can hear their stories, be inspired, and perhaps either be motivated or be activated to get involved in the land or in the community, or to look at a topic around land and belonging in a different way.
Tell us about what this project and initiative really looks like. So I know you've been interviewing the 10 selected people for this project. What does that look like, and what is the outcome?
Right. So one part of it is the interviews of the 10 people, and you're one of them. And we're very honored to have you as part of the project. And it's amazing how much I didn't know about you until I interviewed you. So that was delightful, and I'm excited to share your story as well. And through those interviews with Raju Sava, who's a cinematographer, we will create a short film. Another part of the Belonging Initiative is I like to use social media to engage the public. And in some ways that's really great in this community because we're so spread out. In other ways, it's kind of interesting when you get people who tend to be more environmental oriented. They're not necessarily on Facebook or using social media as often. So I ask a question every Saturday about the topic of belonging and the land here in Nevada County.
What was your question? Well, did you do one today?
I actually did one today, and painfully enough, it was one of the more responsive ones while I'm trying to do a bunch of stuff.
What was
here.
The question?
The question was, well, it wasn't a question. It was asking people to post where they live, the driveway or something from their neighborhood. And it was interesting. I looked at the feed today, and there was lots of pictures of, everybody had trees in their yards. So that's, yeah. And then people wrote a little bit about where they lived and stuff like that.
And then you're going to be doing a mural as well. Are you going to be doing a mural?
No, you're
so am I making things up?
No, you're not. You know about another project. So this is the second project that I've worked on where I go into communities and work with the community. And so in this project, what we'll do, in addition to the workshops, which I've had 2 of them at Wild and Scenic already, is I will take the information from the Facebook and the info from the community, and I'll create some paintings that will be exhibited at summertime in May. The opening will be May 27th, along with art that comes from the community. So through the workshops, some of the community members have made artwork. Lori Lockman, who took this great picture of Tom Wade, has been following and documenting the process. So she'll exhibit photographs, and
Ruth, what was the workshops that you've been doing at Wild and Scenic?
Well, yesterday we did one on land art, and that was, I was thinking, how will I tie this in? And it couldn't have been more perfect, right? So we broke up into groups of 5, and and they constructed stuff from on site in the location at Woolman, a location in our county. And so there was land art, and that really spoke to belonging, how the group came together, how they had to find a purpose, and through purpose they found belonging. It was very interesting. We had some deep conversations.
Can you tell us real quick about your experience? Because one of the things that launched into this in the first place is Ruth is a phenomenal artist and grew up in Venice, California.
Yep.
And took on another project which was really about telling the stories of some of the community members from Venice. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how you've incorporated art with storytelling and the story really of belonging in place?
Right. So I realized that that I could use my painting to have more of a social impact. So in Venice, actually somebody was saying to me that the Venice project is very different than the Belonging project. And actually they're not, because both of them address the importance that community members have in a community, the role they play. And so with the Venice project, I interviewed locals and really highlighted the importance of street smarts to the community, mostly because we do put a lot of emphasis on certified education, but we don't often put much emphasis on life wisdom that comes in all kinds of forms, in all forms.
Right,
So,
and growing up in Venice, for example, in the 60s was quite different than what we might see the Venice today.
Right, and that was why it was so important, because right now they're undergoing gentrification, lots of displacement, and their stories needed to be told, because instead of being looked upon as them or the other people or the people that were getting in the way, I really wanted to show them as important and valuable to the community.
Right.
Right.
Well, I think what you have created, and I just think it's incredible, Ruth, and it's so important to share these stories. And I also love that you've taken a modality of what you're passionate about through art, through storytelling, and being able to bring those together and connecting it here in our community of what really matters most to us, the land and also our community. It's just such an important way to highlight that there are so many unique ways that we can celebrate and showcase and tell those stories.
Right. I think that it's really important to understand the role that the arts play in any community.
Which, by the way, Nevada City and Truckee have been designated as cultural
districts.
Cultural districts in California,
Right.
which is it's a huge deal.
Right.
So that's another significant part that we're also celebrating here at Wild and Scenic and in Nevada City today is that very fact, and this will play a role in that too.
Right. And so when we get designated with a cultural arts district, or we have Wild and Scenic come to town, what's important about that is that the arts offer us an opportunities to see things differently and come up with different points of view, our own points of view. And what's been great about the Belonging Project is we've really been able to, that's what I was going to say, is when we live in a rural area, a lot of times the arts go, like we feel like they're not that important, or they often get, they're in the background, right? We're not in a big city where, you know, there's murals and tagging and dance and things going on all the time. So art has an amazing ability to change the way we view things and to give us an education. And I think it's just really valuable that this cultural districting and the Wild and Scenic, all the arts programs.
Significant. Yeah. My last question real quick is, so it's Wild and Scenic. What's the wildest thing? I'm going to learn something new about you, Ruth Chase.
God.
What's the wildest thing that you've done? And that could be around making a difference, or it could just be on a more personal.
The wildest thing I've done? Oh, well, I can't even say that on camera.
Well,
I grew up in
use your
Venice.
Filter. Right.
Yeah,
so
use my filter. Well, that's the problem, is I don't have a filter.
Were you like punk? You were like punk rock.
I was a punk rocker. You know, the wildest thing I did was when I did the West of Lincoln project, the Venice project, is I realized I needed to tell my own story to come forward with to allow a space for people to tell me their story. And I had to come out and say, yeah, I was a drug user. And that was something I'd put in my past. And I can tell it even makes me nervous to say it on camera. Not because I'm so embarrassed, it's just that for me, I had if we just don't look at that, then we don't have to see it. So for me, that would be the wildest thing I've done, was just really just say it out loud and shared my story with other people. Right?
I love that. It is really important for you to be vulnerable, to share your story.
Right.
Because that demonstrates, by you sharing that, and we talk a lot about value and worth.
Right.
And expressing how much you matter. And when you share that, you're actually creating that essence and space for someone else to appreciate that in themselves as well.
Exactly.
It's very important.
But when you move to a small town like this, it's easy to reinvent yourself and not take everything with you, you know?
You can
all my
reinvent
mom
yourself.
Friends, you know,
That's
it's not
true.
something that came up in conversation.
Right. But we're also all connected here, too. It's all 2 degrees of separation here as well. So that's the other part. People know your business, or we think we do.
Right. It's interesting what I've learned about you.
Oh, okay.
We'll have to share
We'll have to share. I was going to ask you, but I know we got to wrap up.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Ruth. Ruth Chase. The project is called Belonging. You're going to hear more about this if you haven't already.
Go online, be part of the Facebook group so you can answer the questions and inform the project.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I'm Elisa Parker. This is the Wild and Scenic Film Fest, and we will be right back. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.